welcome to the Agentic Quality, a podcast about how AI is fundamentally changing how we think about testing, quality, and engineering effectiveness. I'm your host, Tatyana Arbouzova. I've spent the last 20 plus years building quality organizations, and what we're seeing right now is the biggest shift of my career. Today, we're kicking off the Agentic Quality with someone who is building at the center of that shift. Deep Barot is the CEO of ContextQA. Deep, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tatyana, for having me on the show. Thank you.
And before we get into AI and agents, let's rewind a little bit. And I want to ask you, what is the problem that you personally were obsessed with that eventually led to ContextQA?
Yes, the main problem that I really love is combining the testing principles with the modern software development processes, where we want to keep the ethos of software testing, all the principles for what are the principles testing was started and maintained, and how we can keep maintain in this modern, like fast moving, rapidly deployment heavy software development processes, specifically around the AI. So that keeps me motivated, like how are we going to maintain the speed and quality of the softwares.
And what is a specific moment that you thought our traditional approaches don't scale anymore and we need a different approach?
Yeah, so I was a DevOps engineer before I started this company, and I experienced by myself where I was looking at Netflix, Capital One, Amazon kind of companies who used to deploy multiple times in a day, and not like 95 to 98% companies weren't doing that at that time. And that was the way I saw coming in very closely. And that's the moment I decided that we will not have that capacity to maintain the quality. And since then, I started building this company.
And especially with AI now contributing to fast development of all of these complex systems, we have to speed up even more as it comes to quality, right? And we're hearing a lot of bold claims about AI transforming testing and quality. So what's the biggest quality problem do you think AI can solve today?
Yeah, so there are multiple claims happening around, and the bad part over here is because every company, every person has a different bar. For you, quality is mean different than the other person. For you, automation mean different than the other person, and same for the AI outcome is different to different based on your role, your understanding about the AI, and what is your role within that company. So that's make it difficult to measure the outcome where someone is not happy with 98% accuracy of the AI. On the other side, someone is very happy that AI writes hello world program for you and still celebrating on LinkedIn or any other social media. So there is no right or wrong answer, but the main problem here we are seeing is business outcome, that how many tools or the technologies are actually solving the problem that moves the needle of the business, and not the vanity matrices. So that bifurcation, removing that noise is very important. And yeah, so that's the big claims I'm seeing around.
So you're basically saying there's a lot of ways to apply AI in both development and quality, right? So what are some of the responsibilities that you think are great to delegate to AI, and what are some that you don't want to delegate to AI?
Yeah, so once you figured out the process, right, and the pattern, then it is good to give it to AI, like what we gave to the robotics or other tooling. That once you know, then you do not need to repeat yourself. So wherever you are finding yourself repeating or spending time on overthinking, then that is gone to the AI. Some of in the testing perspective, right, taste automation, where and specifically about the regression automation, where you already have a pattern what you want to automate, what are you expecting, then this is the best time to give it to AI. Similar to that, like taste generation, where you cannot remember everything about your application and all the rules and regulations and compliance, so it is a good time to give it to AI because you have a time limitations, you have a memory limitations and many more, and availability limitations. And that those are the things you should give to AI. And the things you shouldn't give to AI are the ones that are still requires thinking, the processing, like what should be your product, who is your customer, for whom you are building, do they gonna like it or not, talking to them, validating your hypothesis. So those are the things are still under building, and those are the things it's a better that human involves, because it requires multiple stakeholders, it needs a dynamic nature of decision making, and other processes needs to be involved, like prioritization and resource calibrations and so forth. So I would differentiate these two areas and delegate those kind of activities accordingly.
So basically, focus on strategy and prioritization and figuring out what we're building. But after you figure out the process, then delegate that because that is a repeatable pattern that AI can do for us. For example, test automation, right? So what is the problem that Context AI specifically solve that traditional test automation tool don't?
Yeah, so the traditional tool automation thinks that team member has all the knowledge about the application, and they just only helped teams to automate those step-by-step instructions. And I would say that's a babysitting of automation, where you just providing very clear instruction: do this, do that, click here, click that. And that's not sufficient, because here the tester needs a much more support over here beyond than the automation, where you are guiding them, like what are the different areas that needs to be explored within the application, which are the like positive, negative, and edge cases needs to be created within those flows, which are the like should be priority based on the defect analysis and the autonomy up from the root cause analysis. So there are big components within the software testing, and that is the most important part I want to highlight here. Like testing is a one word, automation is a one word, but if you break it down, there are bigger problems within it. So tester jobs is like a requirement analysis, requirement management, requirement based test generation, positive test case, negative test case, edge cases, test data generation, test simulation, understanding the different environments and their limitations, what are the different ways you can run your CI/CD pipeline, then different types of testing like regression, the visual testing, performance issues, and many more. And then once you perform those tests, then doing the root cause analysis, defect reporting. These are the so many steps. I would say there are 30 to 35 steps involved into the software testing process. And we need to speak individually and how AI can be used there, rather than like using AI to testing as a one common statement, because that's where the companies do not see the outcome, where you only use AI for only one activity, which becomes the point solution, where when you apply AI at all these processes and improve that efficiency, it becomes a comprehensive solution, and that derives the business outcome. And that's what we are focusing on.
So that's amazing that you break down all of these testing activities in SDLC into all of these small steps, and then you look at how can AI help us with each of the steps, and you look at it as a whole solution for all of the activities that each tester is doing, which makes me think of an amazing work of the testers who have to do so many things, right? And we always get thought about as a secondary to development. So thank you for putting so much focus on work of the quality engineers and making it easier. And so I know that ContextQA have been around for many years, and you guys have a lot of successful customers and implementations. So when you work with your customers, where do you see teams struggle the most when they try to adopt the AI-driven quality?
Yeah, and so there are many areas, but the first one is the mindset, right? And depends on who is our user at that given customer site or pilot stage, right? So oftentimes we work with the SDATs who are trained and they are very much focused on writing their own Selenium playwright scripts. And they always compare with, hey, I want to see the code. I want to see the locator. I want to see the speed. I don't know. I want to add a wait time, because that's what they used to of it by practicing those years and years. Context AI is completely a no-code solution, which means you do not have to deal with the code, and there are different benefits of it, because we have seen that how much time it goes into the maintenance of those code, understanding object-oriented programming, dependency on the different functionalities, taking care of the complex functionalities like multi-factor authentication and Google and CAPTCHAs using code. It is becoming hard and hard, right? And that's why we deliberately chose no code option, so that more team members can collaborate, not only the SDATs, but manual testers, product teams, and everyone can collaborate and understands what are the activities going on. So people are still sticking to the old mindset that, hey, I want to stick to the code. That is the one thing we are seeing in terms of the adaptability. The second part here is still there is a buzzword in the market or in the social media. 100% automation is not possible, and everyone likes and comments and all, but when it comes to the pilot and using by themselves, and they are like questioning us like, hey, why cannot be 800%? And so those are the things that we are seeing, it that there are limitations of the AI or automation in general, right? Depends on the application and the processes, and setting the right expectations from both sides, from the tool perspective and the individual user's perspective. Both are very, very important. And yeah, so that's where we notice a lot.
I can see how the mindset has to change. We cannot think about AI as someone who is the same as us, and it thinks it's us, right? But it can do the tasks that we do. So, and we have to think about it as an apprentice, kind of like that we can delegate the tasks to, but it cannot replace us. It cannot do exactly the same thing. We still need to guide it in some ways. So that mindset has to change, and there's a lot of education I bet you're doing with your customers on how to start thinking differently when applying AI.
Yeah,
Uh,
and on this note, I want to highlight just one example, right? So there is a one like VP of engineering that we talked to, and like, hey, does this tool has the functionality to generate the test cases? And we say yes, and we generated the test, and they compared with their own test, and this tool generated 5 times more and better test cases. But the same question came from the engineer, oh, this is better than what we are doing today, but why it is not doing 100 test cases or in these areas, right? Where, and that's where there comes the awareness or learning more about AI, that yes, AI can do thousands of test cases if you want to, but the point here is you need to provide the context back. So that's where the human in the loop is important, or you need to know how to leverage AI is more important. AI can do the work, but you need to tweak your ask. Depends on what you want, but you cannot come as a like blank mind and say assume that AI know everything about you and your product and your mindset, that automatically generate those 1,000 tests without you gonna ask anything about that. So that is very, very important for people adapting AI to learn about like how to ask AI to provide
yeah.
the outcome what they are looking for.
So the AI outcome is only as good as your prompt, right?
Yes.
And knowing how to write the prompts is a skill, and we have to figure out how to do that best to get the results that we want. Um, Definitely agree with you there. And now that we have these tools that make our life easier as testers, and we can delegate so many things to these tools. So how do you see the role of the QA engineer changing by using this tool and having these tools in our toolbox?
Yeah, it's no different than any other working professional is changing their role. Like, let's say some marketing persons, right, where they were like writing the content by themselves, and now they are leveraging the AI and making their custom prompts and getting things done like 10 times faster, where they are not emphasizing on like, hey, I will just write each and every line by myself, but they are leveraging the tool. And obviously after even AI generates, they do the proofreading and make sure it is the highest level of quality within the marketing space. So same for the QA team members, that role of QA is leverage the tool and validating the outcome that AI is generating, and make sure and set that tone such a way that like prompt or the configuration such a way then that aligns with their caliber or their company's requirement. So, and that's the another confusion point that happens in those companies where anyone who is adopting AI, they need to understand like they are using first time versus they're going to set the process for themselves. So first time when you are using AI, you need to optimize, customize your prompt and make sure, and you need to proofread a little bit more in the beginning because you are using for first time. AI don't know what is your taste and what is outcome you are expecting. But once you fine tune it by providing more instructions and the prompt, AI is better aware. And as time passes away, you do not need to rely too much on proofreading or anything, where your time will reduce towards the configuration, writing prompt, proofreading, and many other areas. So these are the like two separate activities that whoever is adopting AI, they need to consider. And so same for QA team members. So in the beginning, they will set the tone, make sure test generation, test automation happening the way they are, and they need to do the proofreading to make sure the quality of the test, all the assertions and everything they look for in all the testing activities is matching the needs or not. And eventually they will be running on autopilot mode where they are more confident letting it run by itself.
Yeah, and I've seen that happening in real, places right now. I've been talking to someone who's a QA lead, and he was helping team adapt AI, and he basically helped create the prompts library that he's maintaining, and now everyone in his team is using that prompt library to in the AI tools to get whatever they need done. So that's an interesting kind of future of us, right? Maintaining the prompts library. And talking about that, so what some of the skills do you think are now going to be needed, and some skills that might not needed in a QA profession?
Yeah, so this is the first question I used to ask when I used to take the interview of the DevOps team members in 2017-18 timeframe. What is the important skill that you need, right? And this is the mindset, and mindset is the most important skill that I am thinking that everyone needs to adopt. Rest of can fall in place. I wouldn't say you don't need programming versus you need programming or X or Y, but the first is a mindset, right? That I want to adopt AI is the mindset. I want to leverage the tool to make my job efficient is the mindset. I want to help my organization to deliver the business outcome is the mindset. And then you figure it out rest of the tools, technologies to get that done. But that mindset is very, very important, that I want to adopt new things to solve this problem, right? So that's the most important part. I would say everyone needs it. And that's where we are seeing the companies lacking, and some of the companies are taking the very strong stand. So just give you the example that there are companies that gives the tool like Copilot and Cursor to their organization, the team, and the team tries for one or two time, provides their analysis. Oh, this is not doing X, this is not doing Y, and they stop using it. And those engineering leaders are like, oh, feeling helpless because it's assessment by that team. And this is not the right assessment, because there is a adoption, there are best practices around those tools, and in the beginning you need to push it forward. It is difficult in the beginning, but this is a top to bottom push that you need to do to increase the adoption. And I see the companies like Amazon and all who provides that credits to their customer, their developers, their all the team members, and pushing them to use AI, and they're gonna watch out for the tokens, and they're gonna ask for like what is the outcome you're gonna get it. And if you don't show the outcome or your tokens are not used, then you are on the red zone for that organization. There are many companies are following that pattern. So having said that, mindset is very, very important for anyone to adopt AI. But more other than that, yes, keeping yourself open for the experimentation is also an important part, because there are so many tools where you are not required to reinvent the wheel, go and learn Python from the basics, learn these particular framework or so. There are a lot of tools such as OpenAI Claude for the AI side of the game. There are Llama Index, LangGraph, LangChain. There are lots of agent frameworks are there. There are Gumloop, Wordware kind of workflow automation tools are there to make your life easier. So you just need to start using that tool and just get it going.
So talking about the tools, this is a great topic. There are so many tools on the market right now, development tools, AI, coding tools, test tools. So what is in your perspective, the difference? Like, why would a lot of people use Cursor for writing tests or Claude for writing tests? So why do you think the AI test automation tools are better or not better than just a traditional coding LLMs?
Yeah. So there are like 2 points, right? So there are like a 2 to 3 categories of the using AI for software testing, right? So the coding tools are good, like such as Cursor or any other like IDE based tool available in the market. They are good when you're writing the unit test or the code level, right? Like textual based test cases. So they are good and they are, but you still need to be expert in understanding the code because you need to validate. And that is the most important part I want to realize to the testers, that it comes very often that this argument comes, oh, why, if Cursor is writing the test, then why do we need X tool, Y tool, or programmer in itself, right? So that's the one question. But then we forget to look back our past failed experience, that we failed because we do not have the ability to review the code, maintain the code and everything. So the problem with anything around coding is, it's not only about the generation of the code, but you need to evaluate the code, that is it the right code or not, is it the impactful code or not, and how you going to maintain it, will you have a time or not. So that's the one part. So these tools are great, like Cursor or anyone, because more than their AI agents, they are very well known for the code completion, like autocomplete and all those features. So you just click tab, enter, tab, enter, and you can write entire test scenarios, right? So that's there. But as I mentioned, it requires the expert level of coders to write the enterprise level code, because you can write the code hello world, I can write the hello code, but there are differentiation, right? How clean you are writing code, how you are adding the comments, how it is applying that object oriented principles, right? Is it optimized for it, not, how you handle that complexity, right? So there are so many things. And in general, like testing framework you are writing enterprise level application itself along with your main application in the testing framework space. So you need that kind of ability to do that. There are other agents, right, that doing the work, like Codex from the OpenAI or Claude also has that. So they are doing the like offline work for you. You can assign the task and they can do the great job. But again, any of those frameworks or any of those platforms are as good as how users are using and how good they are understanding the architecture of the application and everything. No, any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot go and just do random stuff. They can write the small programs, but when you are talking about the enterprise level solution, it will be difficult.
So you recommend, basically, this is why you recommend the no code test automation, is that right? Because
Yeah,
maintenance is
if
a lot
you
more work.
if you have a time and resources and you are up for the long-term maintenance, then obviously go for the coding-based solution or framework-based solution. If you have an expert level of developers writing those tests or code, right, and maintain that code, because
Yeah.
code comes with the maintenance and understanding the context and dependency. But if you are anyways into the time crunch, you want to see the faster outcome, you don't have that expert level of skill set and time, then no code is the best one, because you do not need to create your own framework, maintain it, and you can scale as you want, and you do not need to like knock the door off your DevOps team to create your infrastructure, or you do not need to burn all your cloud credits because you don't know how to optimize it.
Yeah, and that touches on the point of build versus buy, right? Like a lot of companies struggle with that question. Do I build my own AI tool, AI test framework that I can use for doing, visual validation or whatnot, or do I pay for it? So share with our audience what are pros and cons and how should the leaders think about this? Like, what are some of the things that they need to take into account when they think about the AI test tools, build versus buy?
Yeah, so build versus buy is very important point, and this is even got worse over like this year because there are lots of application like Lovable, Replit, and everyone thinks I can build Facebook tomorrow, I can build Twitter tomorrow with using this application, but they need to know, right, what is their business priority first, right? Like is their business is to build this kind of application or focus on their own business, whatever that domain is, right? That's one. Then do they have a skills in the team when it needs to scale? Because oftentimes you can write the small application but it needs to scale, you cannot have it and you are clueless there. But most important part, the parameters that you need to look at is, and that's the most worrisome point that I often hear from the customers, that when they are calculating build versus buy, they are not counting their own effort time or their team's time, like hours that they are spending or their team is spending towards POC or building that. So that's the time they are not considering. The second part is the cloud infrastructure or their local infrastructure they are not considering, because they take it for granted that, oh, we already have a Google GCP or AWS, then we do not count that as a cost, and they don't count their own AI as a cost. So you are taking off all the important metrics from your calculation when you are calculating ROI for any of the solution, and then presenting such a way that, oh, because we are not counting these ones, our solution will be cheaper. But that's not the right way to do it. You need to count for your time, your compute cost, your AI cost, and then off the shelf the tool and the timeline, right? Like how much time it's going to take to build your own solution. So like just giving you the example of the framework. So if you're building the framework and want to do the automation of regression and like there will be like two engineers, I would say, automate 500 test case using the AI tool and running every day. It would take a 6 months of time, two engineers salary for 6 months, which will be more than 200K total, and then there will be a 20 to 30K of a cloud infrastructure. So like it's a $250,000 project, plus they need to do the maintenance and so forth. And I'm just being very optimistic on these numbers. None of the automation framework based project finished in 6 months of time frame. And now you choose the tool which is like $24,000 or $50,000. You automate in first 2 months all these scenarios, and you are seeing the outcome in first 2 months. So your initial investment is your time, which is maybe like 2 months of time of your team members, and this $4,000, so which is like a $25,000 total that you got the outcome versus $250,000 that you need to spend in 6 months. So that's how you should calculate. But yeah, unfortunately, the team, and this applies to every organization, I wouldn't blame anyone, but they use the numbers in their favor, right? Whether it's like number of test case automated, the counting the automation coverage, or cost of the AI tools versus building in-house. You just play with the numbers and show everything in your favor.
Yeah, so from the business perspective, it might not make sense to basically build it in house, right? There's always this side where we want to up-level the engineers and we give them the projects just to, grow them, which is a good thing if that's what you want to do. But make sure that you calculate the costs appropriately if you're taking this on. And talking about the business metrics, so if someone to adopt the AI tool, either internal or external, what are some of the ROI metrics? What are some of the business metrics that you see companies improve after adopting tools like that?
Yeah, so it's still early stage that we are seeing lots of numbers out there and the case studies out there, right? That people are skeptical, people are seeing like how much productivity gain they're gonna get into the production using the AI. So I would differentiate this into like two areas where there are known areas and there are unknown areas. So, and something you can measure and something you cannot measure. So in the software development processes, release time or the lead time is a very important metric, and that is widely adopted by the DORA metrics, that everyone is using for the developer productivity and developer experience. So how much lead time is got cut using leveraging AI is very important metrics, and you can break it down by the like project management tasks, software development tasks, testing tasks, and deployment tasks, and calculate that. But that tells you that earlier it used to take 3 weeks to do the regression testing, and now it is taking only 1 week to do the regression testing. So there is a clear differentiator you would have, or similar story points, tickets you used to write in 5 days and now you are finishing in 2 days using AI tools. So those are the things first you should look for. The second part is the faster feedback. How fast your developers are getting the feedbacks, and that feedback from the design team, from the testing team, from the product teams. It could be anything, but the feedback. And that's where you want to see that, okay, if I raise the pull request, right, how fast someone reviews. And if you're using AI tools, then in a 5 seconds, they're going to review and provide you the feedback that you are not maintaining that code quality standards that our company has. So that feedback time is very important for the developers, and having the velocity in the release cycles. So these are the two main. Obviously, the defect reduction is the another one if we are talking about the quality and the software defects, right? So, and that could be a support tickets or customer reported bugs, or the bugs found by the QA teams or the tools like ContextQA. So these are the known metrics that you can do. There are like non-measurable, but you can compare, right, the intent, the outcome of it, like test generation. So like quantity of the test generation, but also quality of the test generation that you can look for it, right, where how AI is helping you out. Then bug fixes time, right, like how root cause analysis can help you to reduce the bug fixes, where it collects the context from the different sources automatically for you, and provide you the feedback. So there are these areas, but those will not be like a one-to-one. There are lots of nuances over there that you need to keep in mind. But obviously, these are the some things can get better over time once you adopt those kind of tools.
Great.
And yeah, measure productivity.
Great, sounds good. And for the ending, I do want to go into the lightning round. These are quick questions that I'm going to throw at you and see what answers do you have for me. So first question is, one metric every quality leader should care about.
Yeah, the release, release time, the lead time, right? How you are reducing that lead time. Yes.
And one thing teams automate that they shouldn't automate.
Yeah, CAPTCHA. Like they are trying to automate CAPTCHA that they shouldn't, because they are reason for CAPTCHAs and those security, any of those things, right? So yeah, they over engineer those part. Yeah.
That's a good one. One early sign that automation is hurting you.
Yeah, so you are automating, but your release are still seeing the defects. That means you are automating the wrong thing, and it is not improving that main problem of customer satisfaction or product quality. So you need to go back and review that.
That's right. And AI capability you're most excited about.
The knowledge graph and the context graph, where there are multidisciplinary information can be held by AI and make a conscious decision for testing, because context is very important. And you must know that we named the company ContextQA and Context AI before AI era started. So context is very, very important, and how AI gets better and better in managing those large contexts is very important, and we are very excited about it.
Thank you. And AI capability you're most cautious about.
Yeah, doing things that you don't want AI to do, like some of the security stuff. Yeah, so there are many things that are coming very on a very serious note. that AI is smart enough, they can do the things that you are not explicitly telling to do. So putting the guardrails are very important. But as everyone, as and not about the tooling perspective, but personal life also, right? When you use too much AI, you need to be very careful about your data getting lost or being used in somewhere else. So yeah, those are the things I would keep in mind.
Yep, that's right. And to close our first episode, I want to ask you, for all of the leaders that are listening today, if they could change one thing in what they do, what should it be?
Yeah, ask your teams right questions. I think that's very important because there are middle managers that I see sometimes, right? That or just engineering leaders, right? Where they are like just go away with the statement that teams are providing, which is good sometimes, but you need to ask those right questions, right? About like what did you try, why did you try, what work, what not work, and get into the details. I think that's very important because we are in the very different world right now that there will be always a pushback from the like mindset or the priorities wise or the personal preferences wise, but we have to adopt and do the thorough analysis of those status quo. So when you are changing the status quo, you need to get into the details and you cannot scratch the surface. So that is the one advice I would give.
Thank you, Deep. Please subscribe to ContextQA LinkedIn page and the YouTube channel so you guys don't miss any future podcasts. And stay with us. We're going to be releasing an episode every week. So looking forward to the conversations and to the future speakers. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Deep, for joining us today.
Yep, thank you very much. Appreciate it.